no time on advancing some of its efforts, whether it's an immigration crackdown, using this potentially as justification, but also moving the National Guard into U.S. cities.
Right. And I understand how controversial that is. And this is an opportunity to really kind of take a step back and unfortunately use this tragedy as an opportunity to think about, is our immigration system working? Is the deployment of the National Guard causing more harm than good? And these are all things that we could have vigorous but respectful debates about. And unfortunately, we keep falling into this name-calling back and forth process. Really not helpful.
Eva, something that you mentioned a moment ago, Joe, the president's messaging generally, he posted a Thanksgiving message online, not incredibly traditional, right? He wished, quote, a very happy Thanksgiving salutation to all of our great American citizens and patriots who have been so nice in allowing our country to be divided, disruptive, carved up, murdered, beaten, mugged, and laughed at. He then used an offensive term to describe Governor Tim Walz, who he says does nothing, and wrote about Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, always wrapped in her swaddling hijab, and who probably came into the USA illegally, and that you're not allowed to marry your brother, advancing a conspiracy theory about her, who does nothing but hatefully complain about our country. What happened to Happy Thanksgiving?
Boris, you're putting your finger, honestly, on what's so difficult to be a conservative-leaning citizen who my whole life has cherished vigorous but respectful debate. And so when you see something like this, which is absolutely indefensible, and you're sitting at the Thanksgiving table, and your family and friends say, how can you possibly support an administration that comes out with messages like this? It's not easy. And you have to take the big picture view. Do you think that we're better off as a country now than we would be under a Biden or Harris administration? And is it worth putting up with a president that puts out messaging like this? It's a tough one, and I'm not going to pretend I know the answer to that.
You can say, I totally agree with the sentiment there, but, President Joe Biden, or had it been President Kamala Harris, would never in their mind put anything out like that. It's so demeaning. It's so disgraceful. It's so despicable from the office of, one of the most powerful leaders in the world to put something out like that and target lawmakers also. It's just horrific.
But President Trump does occupy a really unique space in American politics that he can routinely make these kinds of comments, and there is no real consequence from his supporters.
I would just say, though, I really do wish a lot of the left would also tone it down, because you can only say things like fascist, king, Nazi, invasion by the National Guard so many times before young, impressionable, possibly mentally ill young people take matters into their own hands. So look, I'm not defending President Trump, but there's opportunities on both sides to really lower the temperature.
We appreciate this vigorous debate and conversation. Thank you all so much.
Thanks.
Joe, can he legally do this?
I mean, Sabrina's right. It is a distraction. I would point to the fact, though, that there are three things that really show the dysfunction of government these days. It's running to federal judges every time you don't like something. It's government shutdowns, which make us the, laughing stock of the world. And it's over-reliance on executive orders, which lets the pendulum swing back and forth every time there's a change in office. We need to get back to basics, passing real legislation that actually has some staying power. So whether it's through some auto pen silliness or just legitimate reversing of executive orders, it shows it's a bad way to run our government.
And we were talking about this. I mean, the use of executive orders was so rare, and it really increased over time. And so, I'm not saying that we didn't use it under the Biden administration. We certainly did. But to the extent that it's being used back and forth now, we do need to get back to real legislating, and Congress should really start inserting itself a bit more here.
In order to do that, you need a majority, and it helps if you have a sizable one. Tuesday, we're going to see the last electoral test of the year, a special House race in Tennessee's 7th District. Axios is actually reporting that Trump and Speaker Johnson are holding a tele-rally on Monday night to try to boost the Republican candidate. And additionally, MAGA Inc., the principal Trump-aligned super PAC, has spent more than $550,000 in the race. That's according to media buying figures. And two other pro-Van Epps groups, Conservatives for American Excellence and Club for Growth Action, have also spent six figures apiece. Of course, Van Epps, the Republican candidate in the race. Joe, this is going to be Trump's second tele-rally for this race in a district he won by 22 points. What does this signal to you?
And a state he won by even more than 22 points. So, I mean, this should be a layup, right? This should be a really easy race. The fact that it's polling within 5 points, maybe even 2 points, that's scary for Republicans. And look, it's consistent with what we saw in 93, 94, in 2005, 2006, somewhat with 2021 and 22, the off-year election followed by the midterm. it's going to be rough even under good circumstances for the Republicans. If inflation is high and Trump remains this polarizing, which of course he will, it'll be bad. It's the question of how bad.
I think to Joe's point, Republicans should never have spent money in a race, in a district that Donald Trump won by over 20 points. So the fact that a Democrat put the seat in play, even if she closes the gap, let's say, there is a poll that shows her within 2 points. I think it's probably going to be wider, even if she puts this seat in play and she loses, let's say, by 10 points. That is a real clear indicator of where the electorate is. And Democrats have overperformed in special elections throughout the year. And then look no further than what you saw in Virginia, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Georgia. Democrats swept. So the fact that they made Republicans spend, I think, is a big deal.
Having witnessed a blue wave in 2018, President Trump has tried to mitigate what is likely coming during the midterm election of an incumbent presidency. By redistricting, by calling on Texas and other red states to change their borders, including in Indiana. Speaker Johnson is expected to meet with Indiana House Republicans this weekend. Politico is reporting a redrawing of that Indiana map could yield 2 Republican seats. There has been some internal resistance by Republicans in the state to this. How should Democrats respond?
Well, look, I think Democrats, seeing the redistricting fight that happened in Texas, obviously California responded to that. I think regardless, Republicans are trying, and this administration is trying to steal seats. They know that the midterms are going to be a real test to their power. They know that they're likely to lose. And so they're trying to do everything possible, going to the courts, redrawing maps, to maintain their hold. And the reality is I think it will backfire. I think Democrats will do very well in the midterms, but it's going to be hard, and we have to stay disciplined. And I think the message of affordability and talking about the economy, it's resonating with people because those are the messages that Donald Trump ran on, and he hasn't delivered on.
Joe, quickly, you think this plan is going to backfire?
Of course it is. And I'm going to take, I think steal is a strong word. And I used to like that say that conservatives were more rule followers. But yes, of course it backfired. This is why you don't redistrict mid-decade. I wish they hadn't done it. And now it's probably going to lead to even a worse defeat than you would have seen otherwise.
Before we go, it is Black Friday, and I wonder if either of you made it out to the store today, because it's becoming less and less common for folks to actually head out in person.
I did. I was on my computer for the first hour of the day, but then my family, my in-laws, we went out. We did go to a store. We did take advantage of the sales. It was good, but it is nice to do it also from the comfort of your own home.
So you made it a family outing.
We did.
How about you, Joe?
Same thing. I have 9 kids. I have such good memories of going to places like Toys R Us and FAO Schwartz, which I think are both gone.
Yeah.
But the Macy's, photos with Santa Claus, Barnes & Noble, big super bookstores, there's a social aspect. So I tell my kids, it's not about presents and Santa Claus, but there is a value in getting out there and seeing people and not just sitting at home ordering off Amazon.
Oh, for me, it's the counterpoint. I don't like being in large crowds, and especially when people are
rushing,
or they're forming huge lines. I do wonder if you all miss, because I certainly do, and I hope you don't think me callous, the videos of people brawling for just random crap on the internet. It doesn't happen as often as it used to.
I would hope not. I remember at Best Buy, they were fighting over flat screen television.
And the lines outside for hours, even the day before. Yeah, I kind of do miss that. I remember going into a store once with my mom and seeing the women rush to the handbag section and just scooping up all these handbags. It's kind of comical.
Somehow, more civility in stores, generally less civility in the political discourse.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know where the future is going to hold, but right now it's a tough time, especially being a conservative.
Joe and Sabrina, thank you both so much, and happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for being here.
Happy Thanksgiving.
So this year marks 50 years.